We're going to get straight into the news, and things are happening, you guys. Things are escalating quite rapidly in the Middle East, and we just need to kind of talk about where we are real quick. We'll get through that, but basically, Qatar got hit hard at their natural gas facility, which just happens to be the world's largest. It accounts for 20% of the global supply of natural gas. It was lit on fire as a result of the strike. And this was just hours after Israel struck Iran's largest natural gas plant. And of course, prices are skyrocketing as a result of all of this. And then Trump put out this tweet, I guess last night, that is very, very interesting, where he basically throws Israel under the bus, sort of. So he says Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East, has violently lashed out at a major facility known as South Pars gas field in Iran. A relatively small section of the whole has been hit. The U.S. knew nothing about this particular attack, and the country of Qatar was in no way, shape, or form involved with it, nor did it have any idea that it was going to happen. Unfortunately, Iran did not know this or any of the pertinent facts pertaining to the South Pars attack, and unjustifiably and unfairly attacked a portion of Qatar's LNG gas facility. No more attacks will be made by Israel pertaining to this extremely important and valuable South Pars field unless Iran unwisely decides to attack a very innocent, in this case, Qatar, in which instance the U.S., with or without the help or consent of Israel, will massively blow up the entirety of the gas field at an amount of strength and power that Iran has never seen or witnessed before. I don't want to authorize this level of violence and destruction because of the long-term implications it'll have on the future of Iran. But if Qatar's LNG is again attacked, I will not hesitate to do so. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Oh, damn.
So yesterday, you and I had a conversation because there's a lot of people that think the U.S. is fighting Israel's war and Trump is just Bibi's puppet here. Well, you look at that statement there and you go back, almost a year ago now, the world famous, they don't know what the bleep they're doing. I think this should put to rest all of the talk that Trump is somehow the Robin to Israel's Batman here. That's not happening here. You can tell in that statement he's pissed off because he feels legitimately bad. Qatar kind of gets thrown in the mix of this in a case of mistaken identity almost here. So the communication has to be better. And I'm hoping Trump, if anybody in Washington can reach out to Israel and say, what in the hell are you doing? It has to be Donald Trump. There needs to be a little the art of the deal in here. And look, I'm an Israel supporter, right? Do I agree with everything they do? No, but that's the case in most politicians. I'm not a loyalist to every single decision everybody makes. I like Israel. I'm rooting for Israel. But every once in a while, you need to pull them aside and go, what in the hell are you thinking? What is wrong with you? It's like having a conversation with your kids sometimes.
But counterpoint, what if this is all posturing? What if, and the reason I say that is because there's an Axios/CNN reporter, Barak Ravin, I think is his, Ravid, or however you say it. And he's saying, contrary to Trump's statements, senior Israeli and U.S. officials said that the U.S. had prior knowledge of the Israeli strike and even approved it in an attempt to pressure Iran. After the Iranians retaliated against Qatar's gas fields, Trump is now changing course. And so now we're left with this is a he said, she said, kind of they said, we said situation. But could it be, because I've seen some theories floating around, that Trump and Israel actually are totally in on all of this and have been plotting this exact course of action, Israel knowing that Trump would kind of throw them under the bus, and it's all part of a larger plan? Is that possible?
I mean, anything is possible.
I just don't feel like Israel's going to do something this big without running it by CENTCOM. I just don't see how they would ever do that.
I think Trump, though, again, anything is possible. You can't rule anything out.
Right.
He's feeling the pressure of price increases. That's something that rubs him the wrong way. He was supposed to be the guy that brings everything down, and he sees what happens to the gas prices. He's not stupid. So it's hard for me to think that he would sign off on this knowing what the ramifications would be when it comes to gas prices going even higher than they are right now. He's already tapped into the reserve once. I don't know. It's a hard sell for me. But with Trump and
I know, right?
In general, you can't rule anything out.
You just can't. I mean, everything is so. I just don't know what to make of all of this because, again, it's very difficult for me to believe, and it's weird, honestly, to see Trump basically in that tweet admit Israel did this without me knowing, like that. That just, I don't know. There's something very sus about all of this. And of course, we're not going to know exactly how all this shakes out for quite some time. I can tell you, though, that all of these other Middle Eastern countries are getting sick and tired of Iran's bullshit. And so they actually met. There were Saudi Arabia hosted foreign ministers and representatives from like a zillion different countries, Islamic countries included, to discuss this regional stability. And they ended up condemning as a group the Iranian attacks. They held Iran fully responsible for all the losses and called on Iran to immediately and unconditionally cease its aggression. So I feel like that's positive. You know what I mean? Like everybody now has sort of a common enemy. And I feel like isolating Iran to this degree has got to be a positive, right? Or am I misinterpreting?
No, you're right. And this is all you need to know about Iran. Look at that list right there. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt. If you're the asshole in that group, you're the problem. And that's where Iran is right there. If Iran is alone in a room with Saudi Arabia, the Saudis aren't the worst people in the room. So I think the rest of the world is like, you know what? We're tired of taking the crap from these lunatics over here. Maybe we're not even that different, but they're giving us crap here. Bleep me, bleep you.
Right now, but now it's like the entire area is just exploding. That's what it feels like. Like it's and so much. I mean, the globe is so impacted by what happens in the Middle East. And I know Trump has done a tremendous job, tremendous and huge, as he would say, of making us independent of the Middle East, of their oil, natural gas, all of it. But there's only so much that he can do. And now, of course, we're dealing with the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is saying the U.S. isn't even allowed in the Strait anymore. And of course, we're like, okay, that's just simply false. But there's this whole discussion too about what's happening with NATO allies. How alone are we on this whole front? And so we're going to get into the NATO stuff in just a minute. But I want to remind folks in our audience that if you are approaching needing Medicare, or you soon will be, we have the place for you to call. It's Chapter. And the Chapter folks are amazing because they will look at plans that you're not going to be able to even have access to if you try to do this on a government website. It is so confusing, all the different plans and options that you have out there if you're signing up for Medicare. And they work through it with you and find you the best plan and charge you nothing. I know there were a lot of questions from our audience the last time we talked about Chapter. Well, if I don't have to pay for this service, how are they getting paid? And so I want to just make that very, very clear. They receive commissions. The company receives commissions that are paid by the insurance companies. But if you were to go to those insurance companies on your own, the price is exactly the same as what you will pay with Chapter. So the commission, what that means is that they are on salary, and that is why there's no incentive for them to push you into a plan that only benefits them. They have no incentive to do that. Their only incentive is to gain your trust and to find you the absolute best plan, because their salaries are the same regardless. So they are a fantastic organization. Highly recommend that you check them out, especially because it is so confusing. And you can call them at 4423-CHICKS. They can review your options with you in less than 20 minutes. It's very, very handy if you've got questions. 4423-CHICKS is how you get in touch with them. Trump also tweeted about the Strait of Hormuz yesterday. This was interesting. He said, "I wonder what would happen if we finished off what's left of the Iranian terror state, and let the countries that use it, we don't, be responsible for the so-called Strait. That would get some of our non-responsive allies in gear, and fast. This is such a like neener. I'm testing you all. You know what I mean?
Two things here. Number one, please finish off the Iranian terror state. That's what we're hoping for here. Don't threaten us with a good time. Finish it off. That's what we're hoping for. And at the end, where he's talking about how that would get some of our non-responsive allies in gear fast. I read that like Chris Farley's character in the movie Billy Madison, where he's the bus driver. I'll turn this bus around pretty damn quick. Like his face is red and there's a vein sticking out of his neck. That's the way that I think Trump sits down on the can, drinks a Diet Coke, and starts putting out Truth Social posts. That's how I think it goes out.
Those are my favorite tweets of his, is when you know he's sitting on the toilet and he's just like, he's just pushing them out there. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, obviously he's upset with some of our allies, and there's some interesting dynamics happening here as a result of what's going on with these tests that he's giving our allies, and especially when it comes to oil prices. There's a fantastic new account that I follow, not new, but new to me, an account on X called Apple Lamps that always has some really interesting analysis about this. And what they said yesterday is the Strait of Hormuz was supposed to end Trump's presidency. Iran blocked it, oil spiked, gas prices surged. The plan was simple: crush the American worker with inflation until the political pressure forced a retreat. But the trap inverted. The oil market has now fractured into two tiers: $100 in America, $150 in Asia. China, India, Japan, South Korea, the nations that refused to send warships when Trump asked, are now paying 50% more per barrel than the country that launched the war. Demand destruction has started across Asia. Schools are closing, workers sent home, petrol pumps running dry in Southeast Asia. And meanwhile, American refineries are actually increasing output, running on light, sweet crude that never touches the Strait. Trump told him to help open the Strait. Every single one refused. NATO said it wasn't their war. China negotiated selective passage from a destroyed regime. Japan declined. Australia declined. And now the Strait is doing to them what it was designed to do to Trump. So this is some of the 4D chess that people talk about. And it is working in Trump's favor, until, of course, the natural gas stuff was hit, and now everything is sort of up in the air, shall we say. I mean, that changes
in your YouTube
everything.
chat earlier, Mock, I can't remember the individual's name, says, but prices are still lower than Trump's predecessors.
It's true.
That's a good point. But if prices are going up, the game that's going to be played is these folks are going to use that in midterm messaging and whatever it is to bring down all the Trump allies. Gas prices are going up. Now, they're not going to mention that they're still lower than the predecessors, but if they're going up, that goes against everything that was promised by Trump and the MAGA crowd here. So that's why this whole thing is important. You're right. The prices are better than what it was, but still it's going in the wrong direction here.
Yeah.
And when I see this post here from Apple Lamps breaking it all down here, again, I'm impatient. I'm the impatient American. This tells me the long game is in play. Now, when I say long, I don't think you're talking about 4 or 5 months here. I'm not saying that at all.
It cannot be. It cannot.
But this is adding weeks to what's going on here, because this isn't going to be something that's fixed overnight, barring something huge, miraculous, whatever here. If you start slowly making China and India and Japan realize this is pretty damn expensive, maybe we should go help the United States here, that would be great. But again, that's not happening overnight.
No, you're absolutely right. And that there is going to be a limit. There, people, as we like to say here on the Chicks on the Right show, people are going to hit an up with which they can no longer put. And there's a red line. Like you start crossing into the red line where all of a sudden it gets announced we're putting American boots on the ground to protect the Strait, or whatever it is that the mission is going to call for. There's going to be less and less tolerance for this. And I know that Trump has that built in. I mean, that's baked into his strategy, but there's factors that you cannot predict when it comes to war. And so he's got a tough game to play. And I do not envy his position at all. But it's true that our NATO allies, particularly in the West, are very, very unreliable and very, very unhelpful. And in fact, yesterday, and I verified this with Govt too, because I was like, is this really true? But apparently France and Spain are now preventing the US from using their airspace for anything to do with this operation. That is really, 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 really bad and so disappointing. Spain has even got some of their politicians saying, let's pull out of NATO. But, we don't want you, we don't even want to be a part of NATO anymore. And so this is problematic. And Macron, what a freaking weasel. He went out and just said out loud yesterday, this isn't our war, so we don't want to have anything to do with it. Well, dude, it affects you. I mean, too bad.
We are not a party to the conflict, and therefore France will never take part in operations to reopen or liberate the Strait of Hormuz in the current context.
You look up guys that pee sitting down in the dictionary, and you're going to find a picture of Emmanuel Macron. Ho, ho, ho. My wife has got bigger testicles than I do. Ho, ho, ho. This guy, and again, earmuffs for the kids. Hide your kids, hide your wives. I think I said that right, Mark.
Yes.
What a pussy. I mean, just what an unbelievable weasel, or whatever you want to say here, this guy. And when Trump the other day was just rolling at a presser and said his approval ratings are low, we might not even have to worry about him much anymore. That was great. But in the short term, you still got to deal with this guy. And again, there's a lot of beta males in this world. Beto O'Rourke was born. He exists. But compared to Emmanuel Macron, Beto O'Rourke looks like Chuck Norris.
Oh my gosh, that's way too complimentary to Beto. But I mean, this is really, really pathetic, because for him to say this isn't our war, well, you know what? Ukraine and Russia wasn't our war. And yet we've spent way more on that than we have on this conflict. And that impacted Europe, or impacts Europe, a hell of a lot more than it does us. And we were right there. You know what I mean? So it's disgusting to me how some of these Western leaders behave. It's unacceptable. And I know the NATO General Secretary, Mark Rutte, I never know if I'm saying his last name right. He's obviously very pro-Trump, and he's doing his best. I know he's got a lot of cats to herd, so to speak, but he talked about how, listen, we're trying to get everybody together. Here's what he said yesterday.
When it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, I've been in contact with many allies. We all agree, of course, that strait has to open up again. And what I know is that allies are working together, discussing how to do that. What is the best way to do it? They're working on that collectively to find a way forward.
I mean, it's a very diplomatic thing to say. He's not calling anyone out specifically, but yeah, I mean,
maybe I'm going to look at this half full here, right? Some people would say half empty. I'm going to go half full. After this whole thing is done, because of the act that some of these countries have pulled, we are not putting in any money anymore. We are done here. Trump was already kind of looking for a reason to leave a lot of these organizations and to not really help some of these folks. He begrudgingly said the other day, look, we've been helping Ukraine and you guys still don't want to help us out. There's a lot of people in Trump's base, myself included, that felt like maybe it was time to cut Ukraine off the teat here. And against people like myself, Trump still decided to give them money and play ball with little man Zelensky. All right, fine. He's the president. He gets to make that call. But after all of this, if nobody else is willing to jump in and help what we're trying to do to rid the world of the largest state sponsor of terror, no, you are cut off. It's time to just be completely done with these people. And this could be the excuse.
It may be. And Trump has threatened pulling out of NATO altogether because he's sick and tired of spending the money, especially when these other countries won't pony up the amount that they're supposed to, and then pony up the help that they should be doing. But Representative Don Bacon from Georgia was talking about how there's a whole big faction of Republicans that would revolt if that were to happen. Here's what he said about it.
Greatest alliance in history. They've gone to war on our behalf after 9/11. He seems to forget that. But he has talked down to our NATO allies from day one. And when you treat your allies disrespectfully, you can't just expect them to jump when you say jump. And in this case, I sort of understand that they weren't coordinated with, talked to about the attacks in Iran, and then to suddenly want them to help out. It's probably a bridge too far for most. But he needs to work on strengthening our alliances. If you have a strong friendships, they're more willing to do this. But when you denigrate Denmark and all these other countries, they're going to be more reluctant. And there's a loss of trust with our NATO allies right now. We had a lot of work to do to repair this loss of trust.
Is he wrong when he says that he can leave NATO without Congress?
Yeah, he's wrong. And maybe since you ask, if he broke up NATO on his own, it would be a civil war in the Republican caucus, or the conference. Most of us would find that totally unacceptable, and I'm not alone. There's a large group of us that believe in our alliances and standing up for freedom and pushing back on China and Russia. We don't want war with these guys, but you got to be strong. And if he went in and somehow destroyed or tore up NATO, it would probably destroy the party for many years. There would be many that will never forgive that.
Mock, I don't need to go to Africa to go on a safari to see a rhino. I just saw one right there on the screen right there. And let's be honest, that's just fancy talk for we want you to pay for friends. Strengthening our allies is simply pay them more money. That's all that it means. It has nothing to do with your people skills, has nothing to do with promising military support and all this kind of stuff. It's a money game. It's a cash grab. That's all that it is. And look, if he wants to pay more money for this, put a segment on his tax bracket. Make him have a box where he can check that say, hey, would you like to pay more money to help NATO and our international allies? No one's stopping you. Go ahead. I, on the other hand, am not going to be doing that, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one, I get what he's saying, or I understand that his point of view is that Trump telling our allies, listen, you got to pony up, is somehow eroding the relationships or eroding trust. I just don't buy that. Trump is the only one that has had the balls to actually demand that NATO fulfill its obligations. That means everybody, not just the United States, not just Poland, not just a handful of countries that do the right thing. And so we've let all these countries skate for so long, and Trump is not going to do that. And if that is somehow eroding the relationships, too freaking bad. Somebody had to do it, and actually Trump has made them pay more. I mean, it's worked. The pressure has worked, and so I don't know. I don't want the United States to not have allies, to break the compact that they have with NATO. But the United Nations, that organization is utterly worthless. And I fully support getting out of that. It's good to have allies. You want to have allies, but you also need to be able to trust them. And right now, it's true. John Bacon says there's trust eroded. It's not because of Trump's demanding fairness. It's because the allies demand to be taken care of without any skin in the game. And everybody should be tired of that.
I think Trump, being the businessman that he is, the deal maker that he is, would be willing to say, all right, I'll put some money in the pot here, some money in the kitty. I'll fund a lot of your bull crap that you want to do. But in the rare event, we need a little help, whether it's minesweepers, whether it's some intel overseas. Just help us out a little bit. Go back to Jerry Maguire. We talked about this yesterday.
Yes.
Help me help you.
Yes.
That's all that he's asking for. But I was thinking about this. I'm not mad at the other countries for trying to pull this off, because think about who our presidents have been over the last 20 years. Outside of Donald Trump, who's a confrontational businessman, it's been a lot of people who have apologized for America, groveled to the feet of some of these people, just very weak individuals, Republicans and Democrats, right? Let's not act like, Bush was a tough guy here. So I get, there's a track record there of NATO and the UN going, we can always boss around the American president. They're all talk. Well, Trump's totally different than that. And I think it's a culture shock to them.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. Today, I'm wearing a shirt from Grateful American, but I have and love the cashmere jogging sets that I've gotten from Quince. And by the way, Quince, I know, we have an audience of a lot of women, and they love themselves some European linen, which I get. I love it too in the summertime, especially here in South Carolina. But their cashmere is truly all season. Like, I will wear it in the spring, and it's just the perfect amount of coziness without being too hot. And I'm all about comfort these days, since I don't go to an office and I don't ever have to look good. I am all about comfort. And so that's the kind of stuff I love from Quince. But you can also find true staples for your wardrobe, things that you will wear that are timeless. And they also have men's clothing. They have accessories. They even have luggage. They have all kinds of home goods. Absolutely amazing, high quality stuff without a middleman, because they're using super ethical factories without middlemen that jack up the prices. That's why they're able to give you such good quality clothing pieces for such good prices. And when you go to quince.com/chicks-free, you will get free shipping and 365-day returns. That's how confident they are that you're going to love their stuff. It's now available in Canada. So check them out. It's quince.com/chicks-free. Check them out.
You totally pulled a chick move there, though, by the way. Oh, I don't have to look good all the time. You look amazing, like, every day, right?
Oh, my God.
This is like a total chick move here. I've seen this movie before. Like, your hair's on point. You got the cute little baseball hat on today. Oh, this is how I woke up this morning. Oh, bullcrap. You're fishing for the compliments, and I'm not going to let that go unnoticed.
Okay, that is all fake news, because while I do have some mascara on and a little bit of eye makeup, this literally is just combed hair out of bed. I didn't shower. Anytime I have a hat on, our audience knows that's a no shower day for Mock.
Oh, you woke up in a prom dress today. Oh, this is just how I went to bed last night.
You guys, I just want to show you my sweats. My sweats have paint stains on them. Okay. Like, I am seriously grubbed out. You're lucky I'm wearing pants, honestly, because the bottom half doesn't show. All right, moving on. We need to talk about what happened with Joe Kent. We talked a lot about him yesterday, and it's very, very interesting. Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe testified in a hearing in Congress yesterday. And Tulsi, just like we showed her statement about the Iran conflict, she's very, very tactful, very diplomatic, and very cautious with the way that she words anything. And so it was interesting, because she said in her opening statement that there was that she did not believe, according to intelligence, that Iran was developing their missiles program any further, their nuke program any further, which was super weird, because John Ratcliffe said almost the exact opposite. So there's definitely some cross signals happening there. And John Cornyn at one point was asking John Ratcliffe to clarify, and here's a little bit of that exchange.
The National Counterterrorism Center resigned, saying that Iran did not represent an imminent threat to the United States. Is there anything to indicate that Iran had ceased in its nuclear ambitions or in its desire to continue to build ballistic missiles capable of threatening American troops and allies in the Middle East?
Senator, no. In fact, the intelligence reflects the contrary.
So there's a little bit of cross signals happening between the CIA, DNI, and I can't pretend that I understand it. But I know that Joe Kent right now is like seriously fanning some major flames, particularly on his big media tour that was obviously pre-planned. And we can get into that. But here's what J.D. Vance said when asked about what was going on with Joe Kent.
3 weeks ago. Now, you ask about Joe Kent. Now, I know Joe Kent a little bit. I like Joe Kent. You heard the President of the United States say yesterday that he likes Joe Kent, too. But it's one thing to have a disagreement of opinion. I know the President very well. He welcomes differences of opinion. He likes it when people express their views about what should happen. He listens to everybody. It's one of the great things I like about him, is that whether you're the gardener at Mar-a-Lago or whether you're the Secretary of the State, the President cares about what you think about an issue. He recognizes that everybody has smarts and everybody has wisdom. That said, whatever your view is, when the President of the United States makes a decision, it's your job to help make that decision as effective and successful as possible. And so the President said this yesterday, if you are on the team and you can't help implement the decisions of his administration, he has the right to make those decisions, then it's a good thing for you to resign. And I think that's exactly right. It's fine to disagree. But once the president makes a decision, it's up to everybody who serves in his administration to make it as successful as possible. That's how I do my job, and I think that's how everybody in the administration should do their job too.
So there seems to be a little disconnect in the intelligence community here, because Kent was an underling of Tulsi Gabbard. Kent says, well, at the end, hey, Iran was not a threat. But just 3 months ago, he's doing interviews, he's putting out tweets talking about how Iran is a threat. So I said this yesterday. My opinion on this was he was the leaker all along. He was known to be the leaker all along. I think he knew his days were probably done. So he probably thought he could get a pretty big payday by throwing some gas on a fire here, and then you can do your media tour, which is happening. Those things just don't happen overnight. You don't just snap your fingers and end up on Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Now, there's also big business in being anti-Trump, anti-war. No doubt in my mind, he's going to end up on an Abby Phillip panel on CNN or some show on MS Now. I believe Tulsi Gabbard might not have all the information, because it feels like there's a disconnect between Trump and Tulsi, to be honest with you. But it's even bigger with Kent, because I don't think Kent is telling us the truth here. I think this is a lot of theater. I think this is a lot of show from a guy that knew his days were done, days were numbered. So he's trying to get the most dollars in his bank account as possible.
I completely agree with all of that. And with Tulsi, it's interesting because there was a moment too where I think it was Ossoff from Georgia who was pressing her on this imminent threat and whether that was really the case, whether there really was an imminent threat. And she said that there was a threat, but that it was up to the president to decide if it was imminent. And that was completely up to him. And there was this argument between the two of them. Ossoff was like, that's just a factual statement. Like, there's either an imminent threat or there's not. It's not somebody's decision. And she said the president, based on multiple avenues of intelligence that he gathers, it's not just DNI, it's also CIA, obviously. And he has to weigh all the factors being presented. And he made the decision that it was an imminent threat. And she left it there, which I thought that was fine. I mean, I thought she handled herself completely appropriately in that hearing. Now, it's interesting, going back to the media tour that Joe Kent is now in the midst of. This happened yesterday, which I thought, well, Mark Levin asked him to interview. And he said, I want to interview you on my radio show either tomorrow or Friday or one day next week for a full hour. I don't know how to reach you. Have your people call my people. And Joe Kent agreed and said, sure, let's go. Now, that is an interview I will be very, very interested in watching, because obviously they are not allowed.
About Mark Levin's crank. I do not want to hear a single question. Does this look micro to you, Joe? Does this look micro to you, Joe? I don't want to see that.
I don't either. I definitely don't. Oh my God.
25 minutes of that, of him just pointing. What do you think? Is Megyn right?
I do not want any of their conversation to be about the micropene at all. If we could just not. By the way, we do have a story about Megyn later that is just hilarious, and we'll get to that. But he did already appear. Now, I think today's Thursday, right? Yeah. So today's the day of the big Catholics for Catholics conference that he's going to be speaking at. He's also going to be interviewed by Candace today. And then yesterday, he was on live with Tucker last night. And so just a couple clips to share from that, because he's absolutely lying through his face and it's unbelievable to watch, truly. So here is what he said about the Iran nuclear program. This is a complete and total lie, what you're about to hear.
Was Iran on the verge of getting a nuclear weapon?
No, they weren't, 3 weeks ago when this started, and they weren't in June either. I mean, the Iranians have had a religious ruling, a fatwa, against actually developing a nuclear weapon since 2004. That's been in place since 2004. That's available in the public sphere. But then also we had no intelligence to indicate that fatwa was being disobeyed or it was on the cusp of being lifted.
Either he's the worst counterintelligence person ever, or he's lying. There is no other option, because that fatwa that he is referring to has been debunked a zillion ways to Sunday. And as a CIA or as an intelligence operator, you would think that he would know that. This is all setting him up for exactly what you said, which is just to present himself as part of the Tucker, Megyn, Candace, that whole mind virus group. It's gross. It's absolutely gross.
And what changed in 3 months? Okay.
Exactly.
3 months ago, Iran was a threat. Not my words, his words, on camera doing an interview. He's putting out tweets saying, yeah, they're a threat. They've killed Americans. So in 3 months, they've gone from, yeah, they truly are the world's largest state sponsor of terror, to everything's fine. Nothing to see here.
It was their own fatwa prevented them from having nukes.
Right.
Okay, then what the hell did we blow up in June?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just the dumbest argument. I couldn't even believe that he was saying those things. But, you know, this is Tucker, and now this is Joe, and this is just where their minds are. And because this is like a big mind virus, is the only way I can describe it. Now he's actually buying in to the Candace theories about Charlie Kirk, you guys.
Oh, come on.
Oh my God. I couldn't even believe it, but here's what he said to Tucker.
And then, you know, Charlie Kirk is killed publicly in a very horrific way, and we're not really even allowed to look into that at all. And Charlie Kirk was one of President Trump's closest advisors, and he also advocated heavily against a war with Iran. He was in the Oval Office in the lead up to the 12-day war. I wasn't particularly close with Charlie. He was very gracious to me when I was running for Congress, very, very supportive. So we knew each other. And the last time I saw Charlie Kirk on this earth was in June in the West Wing, in the stairway, and I said hi to him, and he looked me in the eye, and he said very loudly, and it's a small, you've been in the West Wing, it's small, it's a tight space, and he said, Joe, stop us from getting into a war with Iran, very loudly.
He was single.
So we're supposed to believe that Charlie's last words were to him, don't let us get into a war with Iran. Seriously? They don't think that we're on to this?
Joe Kent's trying to get us to believe that he got a win-one for the Gipper speech from Charlie Kirk, while he's surrounded by some of the world's most powerful people inside the inner circle of the Trump administration. Okay. Again, I quote a lot of movies. I'm a dude. That's what we do. Dudes, we can just name old athletes and movie quotes and be happy for hours. To quote Ron Burgundy in the movie Anchorman, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
I know, and nobody should, because this guy he is just freaking lying. And it's absolutely incredible to watch, especially because you can see the mind virus taking hold and see the people that have it shift their thinking about Israel, about everything in real time. It's absolutely incredible to watch. And then add to the fact that now that we have the Islamic regime actually reposting some of their stuff. Oh, I skipped too far ahead. Look at this. So all of these clips from Tucker's show last night with Joe Kent were shared by the Iranian regime state media 4 times in the space of an hour. So that's who is supporting this kind of garbage, is the very enemy that we are trying to defeat. It's extraordinary. And Steve Deace commented on it, I thought, in a very, very good way, because again, once you're a hammer that sees Israeli nails everywhere you look, it becomes so obvious to the rest of us what's happening. So Steve wrote, on the night of Operation Midnight Hammer, Charlie also texted me how concerned he was about a spillover effect in his opposition to a regime change war in Iran. That is true. But here's what's also true. Charlie thought Islam was not compatible with Western civilization, yet no one's claiming that he was killed by Islamists. Charlie didn't want open borders, yet no one's claiming that he was killed by cartels. Charlie really didn't like rhinos like John Cornyn, but no one's claiming he was really killed by the establishment. There were quite a few things Charlie was opposed to, and yet isn't it odd and strange that these imaginary dots are only connected where Israel is concerned? It's odd and strange indeed. I'm sure that doesn't reveal anything like true motivations whatsoever. Of course not. Just an odd and strange coincidence.
I'm going to throw a controversial opinion out there, okay?
Ooh, this is
now make
exciting.
sure you're sitting down. What if, again, humor me, what if Charlie Kirk was killed by just a radicalized weirdo. That's it.
That's crazy.
I know. Mind blown, right? Like, why do we go down these rabbit holes in the political world here? No other industry do we do this. Like
it's crazy.
Sports or music or entertainment. Well, LeBron James didn't play the fourth quarter last night. I bet that's because he's got skin in the game of another league. No, we don't do that in other areas of life. But anytime something happens in the political world, we have to go down these rabbit holes and become Alex Jones all of a sudden. Sometimes there is a conspiracy. I get that. But in this case, you look at the little turd, that little weasel that killed and murdered Charlie Kirk. I don't really believe it was as deep as we think it was. I think it was just a ridiculously radicalized by the media weirdo that hated his conservative family, hated Charlie Kirk, was brought up to believe that these conservative values have some sort of ist attached to them, racist, sexist, whatever, and thought he was being some sort of martyr. I think that's all there is here.
I completely agree with you. And sometimes the simplest answer is the real answer. I mean, that is, and what's worse about this, you know, that comment that he made to Tucker about how we're not allowed to ask questions or whatever, this is only helping Tyler Robinson's defense. And if this case gets blown because of all of these ridiculous conspiracies, that is the worst possible outcome for Charlie and for justice. You know what I mean? And it infuriates me that that's even a possibility. And then what gets even more interesting about Joe Kent and the timing of all of this is something that was reported last night. I heard it first on the Laura Ingraham show. Here's the skinny.
A minute ago, sources are saying that Joe Kent, the former director of the United States National Counterterror Center, this is from Semaphore, he just resigned. He's now under FBI investigation for allegedly leaking classified information. And the investigation predates his departure.
Huh.
So we were right.
That's so weird.
I'm not one to do a victory lap here or to toot my own horn, but honk, honk, baby. We called this as soon as this happened, right? It wasn't necessarily a secret that this guy was a friend to the Washington Post and the New York Times and Axios and these liberal outlets.
Gosh, it's just, what a snake, you know, what an absolute snake. Speaking of outdoor creatures and the outdoors, my azaleas are in bloom, you guys, and it's so pretty. I mean, they're still little. They've got a lot of growing to do, but azaleas that I got from Fast Growing Trees last year are looking amazing. So we just ordered more. And so I'm hoping for just lots and lots of color in my yard. And Fast Growing Trees, gosh, I mean, they just make it so easy. That's what I love about them. They've got, first of all, like 1,600 plus different kinds of plants for outdoors, indoors, flowering plants, fruit plants. I mean, all of it. And here in South Carolina, I'm so excited because we get to actually plant fruit trees, which is super fun. And you don't have to go anywhere and deal with like bringing home stuff in your car and getting dirt everywhere. You just order it. They help you figure out, based on where you are, what plants are going to work best in your area. So handy. And then they provide you really good expert service while you're choosing and after you have your plants at home, whether you need help figuring out how to plant them or just keep them alive. That's always my problem. They have the experts on hand to help you. So our listeners get an additional 20% off plants when you go to fastgrowingtrees.com/chicks. And then don't forget to use code chicks. Again, it's fastgrowingtrees.com/chicks, code chicks. Check them out.
Excellent. Now, again, right? Ms. Mock, if it's okay, I've got my own sponsors I need to take care of here. Look, spring is right around the corner. We're starting to see a little warmer weather here in the Midwest. Hopefully it will be wherever you're at. But let's not kid ourselves. Money can be pretty tight this time of year. That's why you need an all-purpose item that can do many things. And that's where feminine colored latex gloves come into play. Feminine colored latex gloves available in powder blue, purple, and pink are the go-to and the real MVP of anything you want to do around the house, whether it's cleaning the toilet, whether it's working in the yard, or maybe you want to get freaky in the bedroom and do some cavity searching. That's where you find feminine colored latex gloves. Don't wait. Use the promo code HAMMER right now. Promo code HAMMER, and I will come to your house and give you a cavity search myself. Except no substitutes. They don't come in black and they don't come in white. They only come in colors where your friends will call you a candy ass. Purple, light blue, and pink. Feminine colored latex gloves. Ask for them by name.
We're going to get so many emails. So many emails are going to come from the Karens about the cavity search. And I'm here for it. Bring them on. All right, moving on. This is super interesting because we keep hearing like from people like Carrie Prejean Hezbollah that MAGA is dead, right? We played a clip of her earlier this week claiming such. But Harry Enton, that spastic little guy from CNN that we love so much, is here to tell you otherwise.
And this is one of those, because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. If you are a member of MAGA in the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%. He is the 1972 Miami Dolphins. Now, there are some Republicans who disapprove of Donald John Trump, but they are not members of the Make America Great Again movement. The bottom line is this: if you are a member of MAGA, you approve of Donald Trump.
It's interesting, though, because there have been a couple prominent people who have sort of come out online, and they're very mad about this war with Iran because he promised no new wars. Is there any sign that people might be leaving MAGA relative to 2024?
Yeah, okay. So, I've said it before, and, the theme of this segment is Tucker Carlson be darned. And when we look at the numbers, I've heard some people say, oh, you know what, when you look at those MAGA numbers, it doesn't account for those who might have left MAGA. But take a look here. Americans who identify as MAGA, in November of 2024, it was 28% of Americans. Now it's basically the same. If anything, it's slightly higher at 30%. The bottom line is this: the MAGA base within the GOP is not shrinking. It's the same size. If anything, it is slightly larger than it was back in 2024 when, of course, Donald Trump won a second term. So that 100% that Donald Trump has approval among MAGA GOP, that is not an artifact of MAGA shrinking. It's just an indication of how strong Donald Trump's grip is on that MAGA base.
Wow.
That's strong. That's strong.
Right? That's
now,
very
what I want to
encouraging.
see, though, is, and maybe he had it on there and I didn't catch it, how many people who consider themselves Republicans consider themselves MAGA? Because we got the breakdown. Yeah, if you're MAGA, you probably like Donald Trump, right? It's probably why you've got the hat. If you are somebody that is doing an overall survey, okay, that makes sense right there. But we need to get in the weeds here. We need to find out if there is indeed a civil war taking place inside of the conservative movement. How many people who vote predominantly on the right consider themselves MAGA compared to establishment or no title affiliated whatsoever? Does that make sense?
No, I totally get it, because there clearly is, 100, it's not possible for it to be 100%, right? With this poll, yes, it showed 100%, but we already know that there are people within the establishment who disagree. We know that there are some differences, massive ones, between right-wing influencers who either used to be MAGA, continue to be MAGA, or what have you. But the question is, like, how prevalent are those differences, or is it mostly an online thing, and will it affect actual election results? That is a wait and see. But thought that was really encouraging nonetheless.
Do you
All
think,
right.
let me ask you this real quick, though, because I think this is important as we get into the midterms. This little division, if you want to call it that, in the Republican Party, is it enough to cost the party elections? Like, the people that are not MAGA but consider themselves Republicans, will they not vote for the candidate if it's somebody affiliated with Donald Trump? Will they sit out voting in the primary or the general election, or leave that ballot blank when they go vote just because they don't like Trump? So maybe in return, they're not going to vote for somebody like Byron Donalds or something like that. I'm just using that as an example here. Do you think they'd be that bitter?
It depends on, yes, I do believe there are some. The question is how many, because it depends on how influential truly the Groyperism is. Because that faction of people that are unfortunately considered to be right wing, those Groypers, the Nick Fuentes followers, and we've seen them already infiltrate some actual GOP organizations. If those people are actively saying, do not vote Republican, either vote Democrat or don't vote at all. So depending on how influential that group is, and only time will tell, and I just don't know. I don't have a good grasp on how big that group is. I do worry that it's growing, though. I can tell you that. Like, it freaks me out big time.
Is it a problem if you don't vote or leave something blank, because even if it's a Republican, you think they're a total turd? And I'm going to be fully transparent here. I did that here in Indianapolis. The Republican running for mayor was an anti-gun, blamed law-abiding citizens people for all the crime issues, was too much of a chicken blank to talk about the black-on-black crime in the community, wanted to be a gun grabber, and he was the Republican. So I was not going to reward him with my vote, but I also couldn't vote for the lunatic on the other side. So I left that blank. Does that make me a bad Republican or a bad conservative?
I think there are some races, like we talked about one where in North Carolina there, and it's a local position, and I don't, excuse me, I don't even remember the actual position, but there is a woman there who is a Democrat who only for her particular election is running as a Republican, and she's like in full burqa essentially, and just claiming to be a Republican because she knows she'll be unchallenged in the primary, and then probably win the seat in the general. In that kind of case where it's so blatant, then yeah, I think you have to leave it blank, just like you did.
Okay, because
by
Tracy
and large,
in the YouTube chat here, Tracy, so you voted for the Democrat. Tracy, there was no difference. They were the same person, right? One is a alleged raging alcoholic that went missing during the riots in Indianapolis, that's responsible for the city of Indianapolis having a higher homicide rate per capita than Chicago, which is staggering, and most people don't know that, but it's true. And the other guy blames me for all of those problems. So I'm sorry, if that means I voted for the Dem, you're entitled to your opinion here, but I'm old enough to think that you should have to earn my vote. If I'm going to get my big fat butt out there to the polls, you should at least, give me something to believe in. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't pull the trigger for either one of these people.
Well, and yeah, I mean, I think that is another valid example. But by and large, I think for the most part, in most races, you're typically just voting for bad and less bad. And so you should be voting for less bad most of the time, unless it's something truly egregious. You know what I mean? That's just where I land on that. Another thing that took place yesterday on the Hill is the Senate confirmation hearing for Mark Wayne Mullen, the reason for my name today. And
I just caught that. Mark Wayne Mullen, fantastic. That is so good. That is well played.
I try to do it every day. I try to have some kind of different variation of my name every day based on what we're talking about. But I will tell you that Rand Paul is such a biatch about Mark Wayne Mullen. He cannot let things go. And he made the hearing about himself, unfortunately, most of it. And what was really petty is that apparently Katie Britt was going to do an introduction of Mark Wayne. And that is like a typical, a normal part of these proceedings is to have somebody give you a formal introduction. And apparently, according to Bill Malugin, that was denied. So Senator Paul he blocked Katie Britt from being able to do it. And there was a source, a Senate GOP source familiar, who told Fox, quote, Rand Paul has become completely blinded by his hatred of President Trump and petty personal squabbles. His actions today were those of a seething snake and a hopeless hypocrite. What kind of free speech advocate would bar Senator Mullen's choice to deliver his intro from speaking? What kind of Republican would bar a fellow Republican senator from voicing their support of a colleague? Why is this guy allowed to hold a Republican gavel anymore? I mean, he's the committee chair, whatever. I guess he gets to have the say, but it was very, very clear, very, very quickly what this was really about. And he wanted to take the opportunity to be mad at Markwayne Mullin for saying at one point that he understood why Rand Paul was attacked in his yard while he was mowing. We all remember that attack. It was brutal and utterly uncalled for. But Markwayne has himself a bit of a temper, which I think is actually perfect for the role he is nominated for. Just me. But listen to how they went back and forth. Here's Rand and what he said to Markwayne during the hearing.
Funding for refugee welfare programs. Instead of explaining your vote to continue these welfare programs for refugees, you decided to transfer the blame. You told the media that I was a freaking snake and that you completely understood why I had been assaulted. I was shocked that you would justify and celebrate this violent assault that caused me so much pain and my family so much pain. I just wonder if someone who applauds violence against their political opponents is the right person to lead an agency that has struggled to accept limits to the proper use of force. You might argue you were mad and upset about being confronted by your constituents. But Senator Mullin, your constituents are justifiably upset with you. By now, most of America knows that the Somali welfare fraud in Minnesota stole over $9 billion. But instead of defending your vote, you took to continue the vote to continue these refugee welfare programs. You chose to lash out at me. You went on to brag that you'd already told me to my face that you completely understood and approved of the assault. Well, that's a lie. You got a chance today. You can either continue to lie or you can correct the record. You have never had the courage to look me in the eye and tell me that the assault was justified. So today you'll have your chance. Today I'll give you that chance to clear the record. Tell it to my face. If that's what you believe, tell it to me today. Tell the world why you believe I deserve to be assaulted from behind, have 6 ribs broken and a damaged lung. Tell me to my face why you think I deserved it.
So that was what Rand said. And then, of course, there was the opportunity for Markwayne to reply. And here is what he said.
Chairman made, calling me a liar. Sir, I think everybody in this room knows that I'm very blunt and direct to the point. And if I have something to say, I'll say it directly to your face. If you recall, back in my House days, we actually did have this conversation because of the remarks that I made. You were in a room. I simply addressed that I said I could understand because of the behavior you were having, that I could understand why the neighbor did what he did. As far as my terms of the snake in the grass, sir, I work around this room to try to fix problems. I've worked with many people in this room. Seems like you fight Republicans more than you work with us. I did address those remarks. I did explain your gimmicks by the amendment you put forth. And as far as me saying that I invoke violence, I don't think anybody should be hit by surprise. I don't like that. But if I do have something to say, everybody in this room knows I'll come straight to you. I'll say it publicly and I'll say it privately, but I'll never say it behind your back. So for you to say I'm a liar, sir, that's not accurate. And I got proof to say that because you have spent millions of dollars in my campaigns against me because we just don't get along. However, sir, that doesn't keep me at all from doing my job. I can have different opinions with everybody in this room, but as Secretary of Homeland, I'll be protecting everybody, including Kentucky, as much as I will my own backyard in Oklahoma. It's bigger than the partisan bickering that we have. It's bigger than the political differences we have. The truth is, I have a job to do, and I don't like to fail at anything at all. So I can set it aside if you're willing to set it aside. Let me earn your respect.
That was just part one. Because then Rand got mad that he wouldn't apologize. And so there was also a little bit of a back and forth about that. Here it is.
For no apology.
Sir?
And you offer no apology today and no regrets. Haven't heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke and it was heated and I made a mistake. Haven't heard any of those words.
Sir, actually, it wasn't heated, and I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Good. So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote that may or may not vote for you to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
I did not say I supported it. I said I understood it. There's a difference.
So that means you really didn't approve of it, just completely understand it. What do you think most people would interpret completely understand to be support for or a condemnation of the violence?
Sir, as I said, we can have our differences. It's not going to keep me from doing my job as Secretary of Homeland Security. I'm going to secure Kentucky and take care of Kentucky as much as I am Oklahoma.
If this were a one-off, it would be one thing. If you just disliked me so much that you approved of violence against me, people could just write it off. Well, maybe they hate each other. But really, there's a pattern of this.
Oh my God!
What a drama queen!
Right?
Drama queen. That's what Rand Paul is. Now, look. If Rand wanted to make this about the fraud situation. Okay, that's a pretty big deal. You've got that bullet in the chamber, metaphorically speaking, don't get it twisted here. That's a pretty big piece of information you could use to try to bring down Markwayne Mullin, because at first he kind of was on board for allowing this kind of crap to take place. Talk about that. But instead, it just turned into him being just a whiny, crybaby, petulant child. Why aren't you apologizing? Are you happy I got broken ribs? Oh, shut the hell up.
Right?
I mean,
making it all about himself. Like, just stop. I mean, listen, the outcome of this is likely to be that Markwayne is going to get confirmed. So, I mean, it's going to be close, obviously, but he is going to get confirmed. Hopefully that'll end and wrap up today. But listen, do I love that he said, oh, I understood why he got attacked? No, I mean, maybe that's not like the most appropriate thing he should have said, could have said in that moment. But I like Markwayne Mullin and his bulldog mentality. And it's exactly that kind of mentality that is perfect for the role that he has been appointed for. And so Rand,
and the guy that he almost threw hands with inside the people's house was supporting him and sitting behind him. Like, they were able to work through it. Like, sometimes this is how dudes talk to each other. Like, like my co-host, my friend Nigel, that I do the afternoon show with, we've yelled at each other. I've wanted to punch him in the face before. I probably said some horrible things to him, but he's also my friend and we hang out. This is kind of what dudes do. But Rand doesn't understand that because he stopped being a dude. And at some point along the way, between him going after Fauci and him crying about this, he grew ovaries. And I don't know how it happened. Maybe he went to some sort of clinic. Maybe he made some phone calls. I don't know, but there are ovaries in there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a display, and it did not make him look good at all. Speaking of people who didn't look good at all, you guys, Megyn Kelly is out of her mind. So somebody posted a screenshot from Fox News who had on Benjamin Hall, and they were talking about the conflict in the Middle East, of course. And so, as is routine, because I just saw it again this morning, when they are talking about the conflict, they have like this banner, this graphic that they use, which shows the American flag, or like a little piece of it, American flag colors, along with the Israeli flag on one side of the screen, and then the IRGC flag on the other side of the screen, because they're on opposite sides, right? We've got the United States and Israel conducting a strike against the evil IRGC. So that's the graphic when they're discussing this conflict, which makes complete sense. And yet here is Megyn completely freaking out about that. So she says, holy shit, is this real? Because Eric Spracklin, another complete pearl clutcher, said the Fox News graphic merging the American and Israeli flag is absolutely disgusting to me. So Megyn, of course, because she is now sick with the mind virus, where she's the hammer, seeing only Israeli nails, she said, oh my God, holy shit, is this real? So AP on Twitter wrote back and says, it's a US-Israel war. What is the issue? And she was very quick to respond to the issue, saying, you don't put another country's flag on the US flag ever. We don't share it. We treat the flag as inviolate. It is extremely inappropriate. At which point, she was shown a thumbnail of her own freaking show that did that with the American flag and the Iranian flag. And then this guy pointed out, you do it on your YouTube show thumbnails all the time because it's something that's totally normal within the media and news industry when doing graphic design about various stories involving multiple countries. And the best part is that it's not even the first time she's done it. She does this all the time. Here's another one where she was talking about the trade deal with China. And so the flag of China is overlaying the United States flag. So this, again, is just more proof that when you are infected, Israel is all you can think about. And I cannot believe, if she is not humiliated by this, she damn well should be, because this is utterly embarrassing. Utterly embarrassing. I couldn't believe it.
it's ridiculous to complain about this in the first place. Of
Right?
all the things that you want to argue about with this war or debate about, this is where you want to draw the line? That somebody in a graphics design department tried to get all the logos on the screen? Megyn, do me a favor. Don't watch any March Madness games because you're going to lose your mind when the Clemson and Iowa logos are on the screen at the same time when they're playing a basketball game coming up. I know it's going to be controversial and it's going to blow your mind, but just be careful. You're going to see the logos on the screen at the same time.
But she won't care because it's not Israel. It only matters to her if there can be some tie back to Israel. It's a sickness, and it is so obvious. It's fascinating to watch just from a psychological perspective, to watch people become victims to this virus. Like, it's freaking wild to watch it happen, and to happen so quickly to someone like her who was so supportive of Israel just 2 short years ago. It's just wild.
And you have to know you've done that in the past, right? Are you so disconnected from the things that go out on your social media or on your show that you don't remember doing the exact same thing multiple times? Like, not once 10, 15 years ago. All right, fine, you forgot about it. It looks like this happens all the time.
All the time. All the time. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just a quick shift of pace before we get to fun stuff. Jason has a hard out today, so we're going to be mindful of his time. Eric Swalwell, who you know is running for governor of California, decided to go after retiring Border Patrol Chief Bovino. I forget is it Greg? I forget his first name. Is it Greg Bovino? I could be wrong about that, but he's a complete badass. I love him. And this was just an unbelievable exchange because, again, Greg Bovino, if that is in fact his first name, Bovino for sure, he is a complete badass. And so if you're going to go after him, he is not just going to take it. Okay. That's just not in his way. And so yes, it is Greg. He said, "Juanito, I see you continue choosing illegal aliens over American citizens. Curious how you arrived at such a contrarian view." And he was saying that to someone utterly unrelated to Eric Swalwell. But Eric decided to respond and said, "Former Commander Bovino, do you know what persona non grata means? It means your ass is not getting hired in California. I'll make sure of it as governor."
Governor.
Right.
That's cute.
And so Bovino wrote back, "Good evening, Fang Fang. While you're busy figuring out how to choose illegal aliens over U.S. citizens, I'll be driving a massive 7.3 diesel, the ultimate man truck, on the byways and highways of my state, reporting illegal aliens, especially Red China, to Border Patrol."
Love it. Love
I
it.
love it. I know. It's so
Like,
great.
Have we as a country been too soft on old Fartwell there, Eric Swalwell? Because I feel like it's kind of underreported that at one point he was on the Intel Committee. And I can't say this enough. The Intel Committee and banging a Chinese spy. I kind of feel like that's a problem. So
It should be a disqualifier for a governor.
Right. My question to you and my question for everybody in the chat right now. Eric Swalwell, like this is like a Family Feud style question. Number one answer. If you surveyed 100 people, is he best known for banging a Chinese spy or farting on TV? Which one? Fang or the fart?
I think Fang Fang has overtaken the fart, but by very little. Like, I think they're neck and neck. That would be my take on it. I see some people saying farting.
Go to YouTube, like, you know, it's out there. He was on MSNBC. This wasn't something that was edited in. This was not something AI. I think this might have been before AI. He's talking about how Trump cheated an election and then let a pretty big beefer. So you can find that on YouTube. See it for yourself.
A lot of mixed reviews. So a lot of people say Fang Fang, but I saw a lot of people also saying the farting. Again, I think they're very, very close. But yeah, he cannot win. Like, that would just be, California is already struggling so bad under Newsom. I can't imagine how much worse it would get under that guy. Oh my God. Godspeed, California. Godspeed. We're going to have some cute dogs today because I've missed them all week. So that's usually what Daisy and I have is cute animals. But we're going to start with a woman who I think is speaking for a lot of people about her just frustration with the world right now. See if you can relate.
Just checking in real quick to see if it's just me or if everybody else is like this lately a lot. Like all the fucking time. Like, I want to be kind and loving, but my I wish a bitch would meter is off the fucking
So feel her. Oh my God. Especially with the people that complain about you. That's right where I am.
Don't worry about me. I get way worse. Until I start getting death threats, which does happen, I'm all right. Like, your hate comments to me go to the top of the list. We'll read those and make it show material. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Trust me, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I get yelled at by my wife all night long. You think a couple people here are going to hurt my feelings?
It makes me so mad. But also, on to cute dogs. Do you have a dog?
No, we had 2 dogs, and they passed away within a close time of each other. And our boys, because I have 2 boys, they said it'd be disrespectful to bring in replacement dogs. Kind of like what Dukes of Hazzard did when there was a contract dispute and they had to bring in new Duke boys back in the 80s. Coy and Vance came in instead of Bo and Luke, and it was awful. We didn't want to have a Coy and Vance situation. So we ended up getting a cat. And and the cat does keep the mice away. I don't have to let it out in the morning, but at the same time, I think it tries to kill me when I walk down the stairs. It always runs under my feet, and I think I saw it push me, and I think I may have heard it say something racially insensitive to me.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't hate cats at all. I used to have a cat. I had a cat for almost 20 years. Her name was Kitty Kitty. So, but I've just become such a dog person that it makes me sad to hear that you won't have another dog. Well, okay. I'll ask you this then about your past dogs. Did they sleep on the bed?
No, but we weren't against it.
Okay.
My wife and I were in the bed, and if one of them came up and got in, fine, but they usually were somewhere else in the house.
Okay. Well, some dogs, as you know, I'm sure you know, are very, very clingy. Our dog sleeps in the bed. Excuse me. But Maisie's pretty good about getting to the foot of the bed and just kind of being near our feet. So she's not right up in our faces. Not like this dog who takes forever to nest and then does this. It's so cute.
Time for bed. Finally, some alone time.
I don't know what he's doing, or she probably, because he's got the little pink collar, but look at her go, man. She is
right
digging.
on her head.
I don't know why they do this, because they do that with their beds too. Like if you've got a dog bed, they'll constantly nest and then they spin a couple times and then just like that. Isn't that the sweetest?
Okay, here's the challenge I've got for you tonight.
Okay.
I want you to do that to Mr. Mock tonight and record it. I want you to get up there. I want you to put your butt on his head and scratch a little bit and just curl up like nothing is you're wrong, just like it happens all the time, and see how he responds.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing to see. I'll report back on that.
Please.
We do have a couple of reviews to share from the Apple Podcast platform. So appreciate you guys going out there to leave your reviews. If you haven't done it, please do. We will get to all of them. Pattycake6 said, they make me smile every day when I get to listen to them. I love that they have common sense. And Amy Lee Arch said, so funny and informative. If you want to be more informed on politics but hate the news, this is your podcast. These ladies are hilarious and really dig in to current issues. Thank you so much to those of you who sent those. And we have some thank yous from Venmo. Patricia Burton said, Manilas, I love Hammer. His humor has made me laugh as I suffer through some horrible flu-like crap. I miss Daisy, but as long as she's gone, you can keep him around. Jason Hammer is a funny man.
Hope Daisy's getting some sunshine now. Like, I'd hate to go out to Hawaii and have it rainy and cloudy all the time. I hope she's getting some sun.
She did get sun yesterday, but today is a very rainy forecast once again, and then she's coming home tomorrow. So Yeah, it's not been super great, but she did get at least one day of sun.
Okay.
Laura Teams says, love Jason and all of his dude energy. He is hysterical and I am a fan.
Love you, Laura. Thank you.
Nancy Kate says, happy Wednesday. Jason's doing great. Hope Daisy's enjoying her vacation and safe travels home. I have no dad joke, but we'll we'll LOL at the others. That was from yesterday. Carmen Perez Simpson said, you don't owe us shit. I love Hammer.
Carmen, love it. Kelly
Wiseman said, dad joke Wednesday jerks. What type of music are balloons afraid of? Pop music. Thanks for joining Mock Jason. The big ass black trash bags are a must find. XOXO. And Pamela Castro said, first timer sending you some love from Arizona. Daisy is missed, but I've been laughing my ass off with Mock and Hammer. Thanks for always being a bright spot in my morning. Balls. And then Jace Denner said, really enjoyed Hammer on the show this week. Only problem is it was too much sexiness. I always learn new vocabulary when he's around.
Jace, you're right. And listen, I've got to be careful. I should have put a disclaimer up. If you stare directly into this chest, you might get pregnant.
Over on Locals, Holloway 0923 said, Congressman Bacon is from Nebraska. Oh, my bad. I said Georgia. I was wrong. And he is not MAGA. He is a rhino who endorses Trump and then rarely supports his policies. He regularly criticizes Trump's tariff and foreign policy. Also, he is not running for re-election, which of course makes them that much louder, right? Deplorable Jenny said, amen, Mock. As a fellow doc, I am a former Rand supporter. He acted like such a Richard. Hammer, it has been such a pleasure to hear your perspective and commentary this week. Going to try to catch your show. Do hope that Daisy is relaxing. And then right here, Marcy Perales says, good morning, Mock and Hammer. Happy Friday Eve. LOL, we miss Daisy, but we are loving Jason. Great guest host. Have a wonderful day. Much love. Shelly Bolton says, if you haven't done it yet, everyone make sure and click that like button and subscribe too. Thank you so much for the reminder to everybody. Leah Shalek says, regarding Trump's tweet, don't forget, Trump is playing 4D chess. He's got to play both sides. As I sit in the bomb shelter, I trust Trump completely. Thank you, Leah. Rachel Rowe says, just wanted to say a big fat thank you to Jason for filling in this week. I've thoroughly enjoyed your conversation and humor. Hope you both have a great weekend and hope Daisy had a great time. Thank you for that. Buddha Chow 1, happy second birthday to my grandson, Robbie, today. Also, we find out the gender of baby number 2 on Saturday at his birthday party. So excited. That's fun. Maxwell Edison's mom says, I wasn't able to send my dad joke yesterday, so here it is today. What happens when you cross an angry sheep with an angry cow? You get 2 animals in a bad mood.
I love it. I love all these seriously ridiculous jokes. I'm here for every one of them.
So great. Leah Shalek says, gas prices are only going up temporarily. You can't restructure the world without shaking it up first. Keep the faith and remember the tariffs. Balls. Balls is just something that Daisy and I do when we talk about guys who have them. That's why people say it in the chat. Jamie ER1FG, what a fun week with Jason. Nigel would be the perfect co-host for Daisy when you take a vacation. Jason is actually going to be back with Daisy when I go on spring break here in a few weeks, when my sister comes to visit, hopefully, if TSA and all that stuff gets sorted out and she can actually make it here. So you haven't seen the last of Jason, and also he'll be back tomorrow. So it's not over yet. Supernova says, Mock, I almost couldn't watch the show today, and I just had to write in to let you know because you were not wearing your glasses on your head. Oh, yeah, I know. It's because I have a hat instead today.
Yeah, you made it clear that you woke up this way today. You know, you had your makeup on and your hair and your cute little hat and your Victoria's Secret and all your clothes. And
yeah,
this
is
whole
so
thing,
Victoria's
I just
Secret.
happened to roll out of bed. I haven't showered, actually.
GYdo53 says, we love your hat today, Mock. Yeah, I love this hat too. It's my favorite. Karen Elliott.
I have very mixed feelings on the hat.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I appreciate the MAGA movement, but there's that whole Georgia thing.
Karen Elliott 2903 says, MAGA isn't micro. Supernova, Rand turned into Candace and her ilk. Yeah, I mean, Rand, calm down. RLES 1017, mommy, what's a cavity search?
Hold on. So of all the things that have been said, and usually it's you that has the potty mouth, Mock.
I know.
I keep it clean with something that can happen at an airport, and yet that's the one that gets talked about. That's the one that gets mentioned in the comments. This is bullcrap.
I know you get in so much unnecessary and unfit, it's not even fair trouble. You're not getting in fair trouble. Teresa Parvin, wishing my daughter Kayla a happy 13th birthday. Happy birthday. Supernova says spy screwing fart machine. Obviously referring to Swalwell.
I'd watch that movie. Like, you tell me you're going to make a movie, I would watch that.
Marcy Peralez, YouTube has some sort of bug. Messages are being deleted and possible blockages. Be patient, people. Much love. Yikes. Don't know what's going on there.
We deal with that on our show too. It's not Mock. It's not me on our show. There's some sort of cyber overlord or something in the algorithm that has certain keywords that it freaks out over. So if you ever get blocked or something's deleted, 99.9% of the time, it's not Mock or myself. Or if you're the 0.1, maybe you're just a dick.
There's always that possibility. Andrea Cleaver says, to all the freaking haters out there, shut up. This dude is getting up so early to help give us a Chicks on the Right show. Some people just bitch for bitching's sake. 100%. Aranerm says, I was a huge fan of Rand Paul, but either you support or condemn is so leftist of him, like with us or against us. Take my torch and pitchfork money. Supernova says, serious question for both of you. Hoof-hearted?
So do you know what she's talking about there?
Yeah, you told us yesterday.
Yes, the racehorse.
I love that.
Hearted, and when you say it quickly, bada bing, bada boom.
That's right. Marshawn 2027, Swalwell is fang fart or fart fang. I still giggle. Thank you, folks, for bringing us joy in such a grim time. Hugs from New Mexico. Thank you.
Mock, do you normally have this much fart jokes when Daisy's here, or is this just something that I've brought to the table?
No, I mean, from time to time, we get down to that 14-year-old boy level of humor, and we spend some time doing the fart jokes. So absolutely, it's not.
And
just
if you really want to
you.
get down to the humor, then you need one of these bad boys right here. Feminine colored latex gloves. Ask for it by name.
Thank you so much, Jason. Let people know where they can find you.
Find me all over social media. My show is Hammer and Nigel. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us, stalk us, love us. Personally, if you want to reach out to me, Twitter at Jason Allen Hammer. That's the handle. And this afternoon, AL, like Alan Thick, Jason Allen Hammer. And this afternoon, 3 to 7, 93 WIBC, Hammer and Nigel show. If you really want to get in the chat and mix it up with some of my folks, do so. I think you'll find it's fun company.
Perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you again tomorrow, everybody. Until then, bye.
Hello, beautiful people. This is the Chicks on the Right's Indian correspondent. Thank you for watching or listening. Be very sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on all of their delicious content. Okay, thank you. Come again.